What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're taking a look at Killing Faith, which just released this weekend. You may not know it. You may not. And that's okay, but I'm telling you, it just released this weekend. This is a hot new title. I got a screener for, admittedly a little bit late, but it was also partly my doing. The film doesn't have audio description. So I was debating it, but also there's like no coverage for it. I just like searched on YouTube for Killing Faith reviews and I didn't find any. So, well, except for like the one AI generated one, somebody's always got to be out there making an AI thing just for clickbait purposes. But yeah, nobody's touched this. And it is playing near me, technically, legally. It is legally in theaters. It has met the legal qualification for theatrical release for any awards consideration. It is playing at one theater near me at one showtime per day. And this stars Academy Award nominee Guy Pearce, who just was nominated last year. Along with that, he's got Dewanda Wise, we've got Bill Pullman, and also some interesting people who were not initially pushed towards me, but that's always like Joanna Cassidy and Josh McDermott, who I pretty much, anytime I see a former Walking Dead cast member, I just immediately go, oh, there's a Walking Dead cast member here. So he's basically the reason I watch Suits LA. What's this like? Is this worth your time? If you get an opportunity to watch this without audio description, what's this going to be like? Because the theater near me does not have it listed as running with audio description. It is not listed as being an accessible title, which means I don't think this is ever going to have audio description. So you're going to have to make a life choice on this. And that's the question. That's the query here as I bravely step into Killing Faith, which is directed by almost like a fresh director. He has like two other films that I've honestly never even heard of. Just to be truly honest, the two other films IMDb has him for, I didn't even know what they were. But the funny thing was he had a name and I was like, do I know you? No, apparently I don't. So congratulations, I already forgot his name because it didn't make a huge impact for me for this video. Let's face it, we're all here for Guy Pearce. It's not the first time he's done a Western. This film takes place in 1849. Really, Dewanda Wise is the lead here, but Guy Pearce is the name. So he gets top billing because nobody really shows up for the Dewanda Wise movie. Even though she's fantastic in this, by the way, heads up, I thought she was great. And what this is there's I don't know, it's a travel film. It's one of those films where a lady needs to be escorted in the Wild West from one location to another. So she plays a former slave who I'm just going to guess, again, blind, so I'm missing a lot of things here. And I could read the press notes, but then again, you don't get press notes, so that kind of defeats the purpose of me telling you if you can watch this as a blind or low vision individual, which is kind of my perspective, is to try to... I also try not to treat you like an idiot because some of these films are easier to follow than others, and you may want to watch something. I know people are uniquely attracted to certain genres or actors, or they read a book or those kind of things. So we're always getting into those territories, which is why I watch these and try to give you the most honest, could you do this? Is it worth your time? Type perspective. Yeah. I think her slave owner gave her the property. There's a mentally challenged individual who works there who kind of reveals that a little bit. He's honestly the most entertaining character there. His interpretation of the Underground Railroad made the movie for me, and I promised like I would give it points. It gained points just for that. I thought the fact that he thought there was an actual railroad being built by Harriet Tubman underground was amazing. I was like, thank you for that interpretation in this movie that is mostly serious, because otherwise there's no levity. This film is pretty serious. This woman, I think her name was like Sarah, she believes that her daughter is possessed, and everything she touches dies or whatever like that. And so she goes to, I think, the sheriff first, and the sheriff's like, well, we can't really help with, and the doctor over there, he, when he rouses, I suppose, so eventually, the doctor, who's played by Guy Pearce, wakes up from his presumably alcohol induced coma, to go find Dewanda Wise's. We're gonna go with Sarah. I think it's Sarah anyway. To go find her and see what's up with the situation. And Wise, believes that the only thing that can save her daughter is like a faith healer, and so she needs somebody to guide her across the terrain, the evil, the Wild West, so they leave to do that. And the film gets kind of weird. This makes sense to kind of open in October because it dances around the sort of, I don't want to say horror, I want to call it like horror adjacent. It's more like a thriller at times. It's got some supernatural leaning type elements to it, but it also feels very like grounded in reality from what I could tell. Then again, I didn't have audio description. Who knows what's happening in the visuals? I mean, there could be like a silent demon character that's like walking behind them the whole film and never speaks, and they never talk to it. I don't know, man. I can't see, and again, audio description. But as far as when you break it down to its most base level, it's like a Western. It's one of those travel Westerns. Take one person from one spot to another, come and hire the more experienced person to come and do something like True Grit, right? So what's interesting about that film is, guy gets hired to enact revenge, and also can we protect the kid along the way type of thing. We've done this before. This is not an unfamiliar style to the Western genre, the protection of an individual. So, and actually some of the TV shows that we've gotten recently have done this, where we have people crossing the plane to settle somewhere for land purposes. I think Horizon had this as being one of their plot points. So so what makes it interesting is the dynamic between Guy Pearce and Dewanda Wise, which I enjoyed. I think they both gave good performances. I didn't think this was a waste of my time, which is a good thing, because considering it doesn't have audio description and accessibility, and it doesn't seem to clearly have any idea that we exist as blind and low vision people, it already is sort of on thin ice, so to speak, because there's a chunk of things that I'm missing. I never really know who's in frame at the time. I don't know who just got shot or what just happened. There's sort of towards the end, when they get kind of into the faith healing stuff, it gets a little like So I'm talking about when it gets a little like supernaturally, in there. I don't really know how far they go with certain things because, again, visuals. So, but the core story is pretty simplistic and it leans on these two actors. And for me not being as familiar with Dewanda Wise, it's not like Guy Pearce got to pair himself up with Viola Davis, and just like somebody who just makes an obvious, like, oh my God, well, these Academy Award nominated actors are going to kill it, obviously. It could have been a lesser Pearce title, but I would make the argument that he has clearly learned and grown and continues to find more interesting things. He did stumble for a while there and he got into some, like he's in a crappy Liam Neeson movie. So I was surprised that he ended up getting something like The Brutalist to begin with that got him the Oscar nomination he arguably should have gotten years ago for Memento. But now he is. And so the bar has been raised. So we expect more. We just do after actors have been nominated, which is why sometimes it feels like they're squandering their work. You see a lot of these films that Nicolas Cage has made over the years. More recently, he's been fine, but he still is making. Still recently, he did like Gunslingers, which came out this year. That was terrible. So, yeah, the bar has been raised for Pearce, and he has to now show up and do these films. And Ned Crowley, I remember his name, and I have no idea why that sounds familiar to me, but as the director, and Dewanda Wise is, I mean, she just gives a good performance. It's just, I mean, it's nice to see that in here, to see an actress that I'm not as familiar with, and to be like, oh, I'd like to remember you later on. I found it a little hard to find like some of the other actors and characters that come through here, like Josh McDermott, and really focus in on his voice. I was expecting to hear the Eugene, since everybody else is doing these like Southern accents. I was like, well, I know what his Southern accent sounds like. Obviously doing a different one because I didn't hear Eugene in here. But should you see Killing Faith? That's up to you. The thing about blind people, we don't have culture. It's not the same as deaf culture. So make your choice. Decide for yourself whether or not you feel like that this is something you want to see. If you feel like a Western 1849 travel movie with a white doctor escorting a black female former slave and her daughter across to a faith healer to try to get her unpossessed, when the doctor doesn't believe that that's what it is. He thinks it's something else, and like there must be a medical reasoning behind it, so you get that in there, sort of the questioning. Bill Pullman doesn't have as big of a part in here, but it's nice to have him in here. It's like I said, it's mainly Guy Pearce and Dewanda Wise. So it's one of those things where it's like, you probably subscribe to a streaming service. If Killing Faith comes across and you're already subscribing to it, then watch it. It's hard for me to even say rush out to theaters and watch it, because if I were to say that in my own market, which is like a metro area of over 1 million people, it's playing at one theater one time a day. So I don't even I feel like it's just what it is there's a certain benefit to having been in theaters instead of going straight to video or becoming a streaming debut. Although, honestly, I would argue that being a streaming exclusive gives you a little bit more of a profile than just being a straight-to-video film where you just sort of get buried in the, onslaught of releases. So they're trying to get a little bit of a profile by saying they were in theaters. I get that. I don't know how much box office a 1:45 p.m. show is going to give you, but sure. Uh, anyway, I, I may sound like I'm wishy-washy. It's because I'm like right in the middle. Like I can see all of the reasons why I should go rotten on this because it doesn't have audio description and I didn't get the aspect of the Western and the barren wasteland and the traveling and the faith healing stuff at the end, stuff like, the costumes of the period. But my God, it's like a Western. I know what these costumes are going to look like. They're going to costume it like every other Western. It's not like, I don't think this is a steampunk Western or something like that where the costumes are like uniquely different from anyone else. It didn't feel like it was stylistically wildly different to where they would do something like that. So I kind of know what the West looks like in general because there's a whole genre of Westerns. So these are not concepts that I'm like wildly unfamiliar with. Whereas in other genres like sci-fi and horror, it kind of cripples you because if you don't understand what anything is because it has no basis in reality, fantasy, and you're just like, what is, then I can never really get started. It's just it's just dead from the beginning. So I don't think this is it either. Killing Faith, if you're coming in for solid acting and conversation, I would say that's the reason to see this. So I'm leaning slightly positive on Killing Faith. I probably would lean more positive if it had audio description. I think I liked it enough. I didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome. Its pacing was fine. I kind of knew where it was going. It was kind of predictable, but I didn't hate it, and that's something. So I'm going to give Killing Faith a 6.3 out of 10. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. That's fresh, by the way. And I'll see you guys on the other side.